Okay, so today's session, this morning's session will be self-discovery and passion. Dr. Richard, we're glad to have you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys. It's a great pleasure to be here. So I'm really happy to be here to have a conversation with you guys today. And as you already know, I mean, you guys asked me to talk about self-discovery and passion. So what I would like to do is actually the finalists. How many of you are there? 10? There are 10 finalists, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir, 10 finalists.
Excellent, excellent. Congratulations to all of you. I mean, everybody who is there and the organizers, especially who has spent a lot of time to put this together. And everyone, and I, as they say, I mean, all protocol observed. I wish all of you guys a good morning. And I wish you guys a good morning.
Thank you very much. Sir, you can actually switch on your video, sir.
Ah, okay, that's fine. If you guys want me to do that, then that's fine.
Yes, that would be great.
Yes, yeah, perfect. So what I will do today, it's more a conversation. It's not anything that, it's not really a speech per se, but it's a conversation on this aspect of how do we self-discover of who we are to be useful and impactful in society. And we know that a man who pays respect to the great paves his own way for greatness. That is an African proverb. And we know that we all want to be great. But as this proverb tells us, it reminds us that greatness starts with appreciating others who have done great things. So what I would like to do is that I would appreciate each and every one of us to also understand that this meeting today could not have been possible without the indefatigable efforts of the organizers, the conveners, the facilitators, and everyone. And these are great people. So let us honor them by giving them a round of applause. Clap for them. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. We could not forget those we are also honoring today, the 10 finalists, the passion, the ingenuity, the self-motivation, their resourcefulness, their determination, and their energy for embodying their 10 ideas, set them on the path to greatness. So let us salute them with another round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But we recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. These are words of the scriptures. While these words may seem like a redefinition of greatness, as we know, they're indisputable. They are enlightening and they send an unequivocal message that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I brought this up because the discussion today on self-discovery and passion is one in which we need to look at it from a very different perspective. When you look at these scriptural words, that we must recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. This is how we ought to view our own pursuit for greatness, as opportunities to serve and to be useful. If you take this within the context of our continent today, Africa, we know that every adversity carries with it a seed of equal or greater benefits. And in no place will our pursuit be rewarded more than this continent called Africa. Africa is a continent of adversity, as it is described most of the time. It's a continent of challenges. It's a continent in adversity. But these are also disguised opportunities, and making ourselves as individuals useful in converting Africa's challenges into opportunities is the foundation for our greatest progress. It's the foundation for greatness. And realizing this is the first step to self-discovery. Realizing that you can use yourself to turn challenges to opportunities is the first step to self-discovery. So we cannot claim to know ourselves unless we attach ourselves mentally, emotionally, and physically to a quest for solutions that touches many lives. Let me repeat that again. We cannot claim to know ourselves unless we attach ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically to a quest for solutions that touches many lives. And at no time are the signs for us to take these quests seriously clearer than they are now. We are in unprecedented times since the Second World War. In February of this year, African countries started joining the list of so many countries across the entire globe that were hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. In just about 4 months, the number of infections have rose up to about 190,000 persons as of today. Even more dramatic is not just the infections that are affecting people in the continent, but is the economic fallout. But this economic fallout is only adding to the challenges that the African continent do face. We are in a continent whose economy is 20 times less productive than competitors in the globe. And at the same time, with this pandemic, Africa is estimated to lose up to about 29 billion. That has already lost up to about 29 billions in the past month and is estimated to have a negative growth in this year. So in a continent that needs to create 12 million jobs for youth getting into the labor market each and every year, the continent economy is shrinking. Did you know that in the continent of Africa, each and every day, 257 million citizens go to bed hungry with their stomach aching of hunger? Today, you know, will only compound these challenges that we are facing today. The COVID-19 will only compound an already precarious scenario. And we know that this is because of the border closures, lockdowns, curfew. That's fine. That's for medical, epidemiological aspects. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about here. But what I'm trying to say is that these trends are causing some businesses to close, and these businesses will never ever reopen again. They're causing some jobs to be lost, and these jobs will never ever be recovered. So the cumulative effects of COVID-19, adding to these vulnerabilities, is pushing the region into its first economic recession in the past 25 years. It therefore means the writing is on the wall. While the path we are on as a continent is unsustainable, the COVID-19 crisis is a call for each and every one of us to do what we must do to rebuild better. And this responsibility lies solely on you and me, the ordinary citizens of the African continent. It is the inventions, the creativity, the innovations of citizens like you and me that build enterprises which cumulatively drive economic competitiveness. And moments like this pandemic in which we are passing through, needs to become a wake-up call for each and every one of us to interrogate self. It needs to become a wake-up call for purposeful pursuits, where we ask one fundamental question: what am I useful for? And this is the main thrust of my message to you guys today. What am I as an individual useful for? In a continent that is a continent of adversity, but this adversity actually is a disguised opportunity for opportunities to be tapped. What am I useful for? The axe forgets. You know the axe which they use to split firewood. Or there is an African proverb that goes that the axe forgets, but the tree does not. This African proverb reminds us that we cannot afford to forget the moment of crisis we go through. Anytime we're going through a crisis, that should be a reminder. And this is especially so because the quest for solutions to such crises pushes us to self-discovery. They provide an opportunity for self-reflection. They lead to our life purposes, self-discovery, self-reflection that leads to our life purposes. So when you take this COVID-19, as this COVID-19 shapes up as the crisis of this moment, out of which many will define their purposes, I too remember when I actually found my own purpose, when I self-discover my own self. And how I self-discover my own self and define my purpose is actually documented in my book, which I hope most of you have read, Making Africa Work Through the Power of Innovative Volunteerism. This is actually on my website. You can go and download for free. As I elaborated in the first 2 chapters of this book, the circumstances of my birth and my early growth were not glamorous. I was born to a family of 5 siblings in the northwestern part of Cameroon 41 years ago in a small village called Jinkri. And I grew up in a humble background by all accounts. We were disciplined, not just by my mom and dad, but we grew up in a village that was the traditional African setting. And I grew up herding goats and walking long distances to school without shoes. Seeing my mother lose her crops in her small 1 acre of land that was used for cultivating crops. I could see crops fail. We studied under trees, and that's normal. That is a typical African setting, and that is not a crime. These were some of the challenges I grew up, and I believe many of you and others across the continent grew up in such a way. But more important was not just how I grew up, was my moment of epiphany, the moment of my purpose, of self-reflection, where I got it right. Well, what started as a simple search for answers to the dwindling yields in my mother's small farm, because in a family with 5 siblings, having my mom and dad peasant farmers, depending on that small piece of land to feed us, anytime there was crop failure, I tend to ask questions. I tend to ask questions to find answers to the dwindling yields in my mother's farm, and that of many villagers, because it was not only my mother. And that was my watershed moment that I started to think, what should I do to be able to rescue and provide a solution to this as I grew up? And that was my moment of purpose, that I started thinking, how will I do that? I didn't know how to do it, but that was my intent, that I will think of ways as I grew up and as I studied to solve that. From that time, no distance was too far. No mountain too high, no subject too hard to study in school, and no discouragement could stop me from doing that. I took all these, and this was driven by one word called passion. It was driven by one word called dedication. It was driven by one word called determination and resilience to vanquish a perennial challenge for the benefit of my community. And these are the inherent latent qualities: passion, dedication, determination, that you can never buy in any supermarket. They are latent, I call them latent qualities of selfless service to touch lives that we must be able to have, that help us inspire, because passion is the currency of now. Without passion, there's really nothing you will do to solve a problem. Passion is that flame that burns when it is ignited, but it can also quench when it is ignored. And these are what I actually use, because over time I came to realize that millions of other men and women, mothers and fathers across Africa and the globe face the very predicament that confronted my mom and village mates. And I came to realize that in solving this challenge at the economic wide scale, that can open bigger opportunities to create more economic opportunities and drive climate resilience, is the only way that we can be able to take. With such self-realization, my purpose was cemented. I knew what I wanted, and anything that I do till today has been around that. How can we be able to turn challenges to opportunities? Telling crops in farmers, in mothers and fathers' farms across the continent. How do we inspire others to seize those opportunities? And I carry it everywhere I go. And this is what I wish for our 10 finalists today and the hundreds of millions of our youth and the young at heart across the continent. And just as there is no rain or rainy season without mosquitoes, we are from this continent, there is no rainy season without mosquitoes, right? And so I would wish to leave you guys with some pointers that you need to take them with you anywhere you go as you develop not only your ideas that you've already developed and 10 finalists, but to shape your life and also to use that to inspire others. And my first point is that fundamentals are non-negotiable. If you tell a hungry child that you gave him or her food yesterday, that means nothing. That child is hungry at that particular moment. And what happened yesterday means nothing. It means fundamentals are non-negotiable. Fundamentals of food insecurity, fundamentals of poverty, fundamentals of youth unemployment. These are realities that affect every household and communities across the entire continent today. This means that any idea you have, regardless of where you come from, Any idea you have must be able to be undertaken in a way that help put food on the table of a community or of someone, that help inspire someone to create a job for other people. This means that the sustainability of any initiative you will undertake, you will turn those ideas to reality, is dependent upon how successful it can be executed to touch others' lives. And this is the case with all the 10 ideas, with the 10 finalists. As you will implement those ideas, implement them in a way that touches many lives. And that is the essence of self-discovery and purpose. And you must operationalize them in a way that you are working with nature, you're working with the environment, not against the environment, but you're addressing socio-economic challenges, but also putting more money in more pockets. That's the biggest sustainability. And doing so within the climate lens, which offers so many entries. I looked across what you guys, your ideas are brilliant ideas, excellent ideas, and about 70% of them are actually ideas in the West to recovery, which offers a great entry point. And those ideas can be related to ways to recovery to energy that can be driven even at local levels, which stands as a very promising. Let me just give an example. We are in a continent where charcoal and wood fuel contributes over $20 billion to the continent's economy. It is a source of domestic energy for up to 90% of African households. If you take Kenya, for example, this sector is employing nearly 900,000 people in production and trade and contributes over $1 billion annually. The demand for this charcoal is growing every day. A 1% rise in urbanization increases charcoal consumption by 14%. But this is at a detriment to the environment, to ecosystem destructions. That is costing the continent to lose up to about $65 billion each and every year. But this also presents an opportunity for each and every one of you and all the youth across the continent, creating alternative domestic energy solutions that offer quality and affordable domestic energy options without degrading our environment, without degrading the forest, without turning the forest to charcoal. But it also offers an opportunity that we should see waste as wealth. Converting agricultural waste to fuel briquettes are cheaper than even charcoal. They burn better. They can put more youth and each and everyone into a business to tap into this $20 billion continental industry. And we will do this preserving the environment, protecting our mothers from indoor pollution, because indoor pollution kills up to about 600 people in this continent every year. And this is even more than those killed through accidents. And as a result of this, clean cook stoves can also be another business line that are powered by these briquettes. So these are opportunities. But at the end of the day, my point stands. Fundamentals are non-negotiable. And any idea that doesn't address community challenges is not going to be sustainable. And that takes me to my second point, which is we must take personal responsibility for Africa's development. We must take personal responsibility. Africa's development do not rest on others' shoulders. It rests on my shoulder and your shoulder. We must therefore divest from externalizing solutions. It is sometimes very unfortunate that any idea that an African comes up with, an African doesn't even listen to that idea because it is coming from within. We have externalized our problems and externalized solutions. That is a recipe for failure. That is a misnomer, and it hasn't worked for over 60 years. The time of always blaming others and complaining is long overdue. Individual citizens like you and me must stop abdicating the responsibility for Africa's development to government alone. Of course, government have a responsibility to create an enabling environment, but it is non-state actors like you and me that need to come up with ideas and leverage on what we can do and start doing what we must do before we even ask for what needs to be done by others. While the government of the day does hold the responsibility of creating a secure, predictable, enabling environment, it is individual citizens whose responsibility it is to use the enabling environment and create lasting enterprise solutions. So I applaud all the 10 finalists today because this is exactly what you are doing and others across the continent are doing. And that takes me to my third point. We must reject emotional poverty. An enlightening scriptures warns us that as a man thinketh, so he is. What you think, you become. We are a product of our thoughts. If you think negativity, you will dwell in negativity. If you think positivity, you will dwell in positivity. In most cases, we lack in self-belief. We do not believe on our own. We do not believe in ourselves. And I'll argue this, there is physical poverty which we see every day, lack of water, lack of food. That is not the biggest problem that this continent of Africa have. It's lack of self-belief. That when an idea comes from you, I should not even discuss it or think how it can benefit me and benefit community, because we not self-believe. That has caused the continent and caused many people that even when they come up with an idea, they are afraid to even discuss it because they think that others will reject it. That is emotional poverty. We do not believe that anything worthwhile can come from our continent, that can come from our own selves. And this is why innovative ideas from the continent are mostly frowned upon and ignored unless it is validated by others who are not from this continent. That's a failure. To me, as a citizen of this continent, I see this. Sometimes it's emotional for me to talk about this because we are our own enemies. We like to pull others down. With this mentality, we play second fiddle to discover ourselves and find our own passion. We must stop thinking that unless something is validated by others outside, it is not good. That's a fallacy. We must know that the responsibility for promoting positive narratives about Africa rests upon each and every one of us. I hear people sometimes say, oh, CNN hasn't shown it. Why should CNN show it? Why can't our own televisions and radios and presenters discuss our own solutions to our own challenges? If you take, for example, as the COVID-19 rages, it is reported that Senegal Biomedical Research Organization has developed a $1 COVID home diagnostic test kit that can give results in 10 minutes. This is in addition to other great innovations in treating this disease that have sprung up in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Uganda, and even Kenya here, among many others in the continent. But none of these solutions seems to have been given the seriousness of investigation by African institutions and presented as contextual solutions to the disease in the African continent. And I say this without any fear of contradiction. The approach would have been different if these solutions were validated by mainstream institutions outside the continent. Shame on us. The sooner we realize that the responsibility of forging a positive narrative about the continent is solely on our shoulders, the better it will be for each and every one. Otherwise, we will continue wallowing in emotional poverty, lack of self-belief, which is far worse than the material poverty because it disables the inner self of anyone to think. Lack of self-belief is the worst form of poverty Africa is suffering from. You, the 10 finalists, and all the other 400 million youth in the continent must reject this emotional poverty and start believing in yourself. We must reject it by passionately driving our ideas to join in the line of local solutions to African challenges. Don't wait for validations from others. And that takes me to my fourth point. Pitch yourself and your ideas from a value dimension. Never ever pitch yourself from a disadvantage. Pitch yourself from an advantage position. Don't start pitching yourself, oh, I come from a poor family or I went to school. That means nothing. That should be a motivation for you. In this era of global competitiveness, every organization, every institution, every enterprise is looking for ways to get ahead of competition. So as you set forth with your ideas, what you need to ask and answer very clearly are three fundamental questions. The first is, what value is my idea bringing to society? You must answer that. And the second is, which segment of society is my idea serving? And the third, knowing fully well that a single bracelet does not jingle, we need to ask, who do I need to complement implementation of my idea with? And once you are armed with these three questions, you are armed with answers to these three questions, you now need to set forth to forge collaborations with the willing. Underline the word willing. With the willing, with the passionate, from the dimension of value adding. Value adding. What are you bringing? And never ever bet on the benevolence of others. Never ever bet on hand arts. That perpetuates dependency. And that takes me to my fifth point. Your skill is your biggest premium. You cannot buy it in a supermarket. Your skill is your biggest premium. It is not how tall you are or how light skin or dark skin or short you are. It is what you can bring on the table. And for you to bring something on the table, you must perfect your skill, whether it is talking or whether it is pitching, whether it is explaining an idea. The 10 splendid ideas that are before us today, the 10 finally, your 10 ideas, those ideas are excellent and brilliant. But those ideas to bring transformational change will need to be adapted to tap accessible competitive enterprise opportunities in the climate and environment arena. I spoke of waste recovery in my first point. Another area that was expressed extensively is agro value chain in those two ideas. This is a $1 trillion opportunity. And here, once again, if you just take an example of decentralizing affordable and accessible value addition solutions, we are in a continent today that is losing food worth $48 billion as a result of post-harvest losses. And this is because of inefficiencies in the entire agro value chain. But the continent, paradoxically, import food worth $35 billion. When you juxtapose it with $48 billion, we're talking about $83 billion going down the drain. Just because we have not developed the value addition solutions. A simple solar dryer to our farmers, our market women, to enable them dry their vegetables, their tomatoes, can increase earnings up to about 30 times. That's what the data is showing, telling us. But to be able to revamp yours, it doesn't matter what you study. It doesn't matter what you study. Even if you have a PhD and that PhD is not useful, that means nothing. I had one 10 years, 11 years ago, but I continuously retool my skill. What am I saying here? Each and every youth needs structural guidance. Never think that you have reached it because you have an idea or because you have a PhD or because you're working in UN or you're working in a bank. It doesn't matter. You must continuously. Part of self-discovery is also continuous recalibration of your skills and talents to continuously ensure that you are relevant to society. And this is what innovative volunteerism is all about, providing a platform to engage young people like you with your ideas, to structurally guide you, to inspire you, to make connections and linkages that can appropriately ensure that you adapt and align your ideas. And you should register and become an innovative volunteer. That takes me to my last point. You must embrace selflessness. There is only one beauty, and it is the beauty of action. But that action must be to solve a problem. The journey from an enterprise ideas to a full-blown competitive enterprise is not going to be for the faint-hearted. That's what I've learned in my life till today. There will be times when the market will doubt you. There will be times when even your best friends and even family members will doubt whether you are on the right track and whether you are doing something. But when those you thought, there will be times when those you thought that were your primary supporters will neglect you. Be prepared for that. But what will keep you grounded is what I call your own unborrowed vision. Because part of self-discovery is you need to become passionate about being useful, because the purpose of life is to be useful. But useful for what? To solve problems. But you must have a vision where you want to go. But that vision must be your own vision, not someone else's vision, what I call an experimental vision. So your own vision is what I call an unborrowed vision, where you work to leave a legacy, not only to amass material. Be encouraged that throughout centuries, there were men and women just like you and me who took the first step with their own ideas, just like your ideas today. They were armed with nothing but only with their own vision. It was not someone else's vision that they were trying to experiment, but it was their vision, a vision to solve problems. They had different goals, just like you people have ideas today with different ways of doing things. But just like you guys today, the only thing they had in common was that the step was first and the route was new, but the vision was unborrowed. These are you guys' ideas. They are not borrowed to be experimented in the continent. You know what I'm talking about. But as they step out there with great ideas, these men and women, centuries ago, when they stepped out there, they were received with hatred and jealousy. The response they got from the ideas was hatred, was received with hatred and jealousy. These great men and women, these great thinkers, these great scientists, these great inventors, they stood alone against the men of their time. Every new thought they brought was opposed. Every great invention was denounced. The airplane was considered impossible. Anesthesia was considered sinful. But these men and women of unborrowed vision, of unborrowed ideas, went ahead to do what they set their eyes on. They fought and they suffered. And they paid the price of hatred and jealousy. But despite all the hatred, they endured and they became victorious because they stood for what was right. Ideas to turn challenges into opportunities and touch life in community, using what they had to drive this vision. And this is the spirit of dedication, passion, collectivism, kindness, selflessness that is absolutely paramount to turn the page in how we can be able to turn challenges, especially climate challenges, into entrepreneurial wealth creating opportunities. This is what your ideas stand for. This is what I believe you guys embody. And that is what self-discovery and passion is about. And this is what innovative volunteerism stands for. That together we can leverage on our ideas and come together to address common challenges with common solutions. Because each and every one of us have something good to offer. Even the worst person on earth have something good to offer. That together we can make a difference in our own lives and the lives of those who are not even ours or even from the continent. But these must start from a changed mindset that we must self-believe that we are able to do it, and we do not need external validation always to think that we are on the right track. Of course, we don't mind contributions, we don't mind partnership, but we do not want patronage. And what you guys have started is a journey of solution providers. That's how self-discovery and passion is lived in reality. Go forth and conquer. Thank you.